Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. You got a little bonus old edition of Frankly Speaking, but we're back live and we have a busy morning here on Election Day Eve. Did you go out and vote early? There is no early voting today. You have to wait until General Election Day tomorrow. But on the program this morning, we're going to be talking with two candidates for Steuben County Legislator. James Kuhl will be in the 7 o'clock hour, as well as Justin Eberlin. James Kuhl is running in the district that encompasses Irwin, and Justin is running in the district that encompasses Caton, Corning, the town of Corning, and Hornby. So get your questions in for your candidates for Steuben County Legislature. All right, we got a lot of comments to get to this morning. Again, thank you for joining us. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. I see the government shutdown still looms, but SNAP benefits should be back by Wednesday. And Trump throws a big party at Mar-a-Lago, and the media and the Democrats are having a field day with it, saying he should not throw a party when people are starving. I saw that. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Also talk about President Trump's interview on 60 Minutes. Also, comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Go Sliwa. I have what I at least perceive as an important question. Given that Binghamton University, my alma mater, for example, where a significant portion of the student population comes from New York City and is allowed to vote in our local elections, can these same students vote in the New York City elections? If so, then I advocate that they can no longer meddle in our local elections, especially given their proclivity for voting Democrat. Well, it depends on where they're registered. If they re-registered for Binghamton when they move there, then yes, they can vote in the local elections there. But if they continued their New York City address and didn't re-register, then they would only be able to vote in New York City in theory. Okay, yesterday, Hamas released 3 more bodies, including that of an American, Omer Nutra, after last week's botched handover that involved no corpses of hostages and helped prompt renewed Israel airstrikes on Gaza. The terrorist group handed over a trio of caskets to the Red Cross, claiming that this time they really do contain the remains of the 3 of the 11 hostages whose bodies are still unrecovered. A similar statement to Friday's exchange that turned out to be false, according to Israeli officials. President Trump on Sunday night confirmed that the body of Nutra, a native of Plainview, Long Island, was among the 3 handed off to Israel. We got Nutra from New York, from the United States, and I spoke to his parents, the president told reporters on Air Force One. The handoff took place a few hours after the airstrike hit Gaza City, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accusing Hamas of operating inside an area currently occupied by his troops. Quote, there are still Hamas pockets in the areas under our control in Gaza, and we are systematically eliminating them, Netanyahu said. The Israeli Defense Force said the airstrike hit a militant who posed a threat to its soldiers, with the Al Ahil hospital reporting that 1 man died from the attack, which struck a vegetable market. Hamas has denied the allegations that its fighters attacked Israeli soldiers in Gaza City. Sunday's fighting is the latest in what has become a weekly pattern amid the U.S. brokered peace deal, with Israel and Hamas repeatedly clashing after accusing the other of violating the terms of agreement. Also, over the weekend, President Trump warned that if the Nigerian government continued to allow Christians in the country to be killed, the United States military, quote, may very well go into Nigeria, guns a-blazing. In a post on Truth Social, Trump instructed the Department of War to prepare for possible action, adding that if the U.S. does attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. Trump also threatened to stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians. Quote, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. That was in all caps. The president also took action to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern and asked Representative Riley Moore and House Appropriations Committee Chairman Tom Cole to work together to immediately look into this matter and report back to him with their findings. Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern, but that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,447 worldwide, something must be done. So prepare to take action. Now, David Hersani has an interesting take on this at the New York Post, and he said, with so much of the legacy media's focus spent on smearing Israel these days, you probably haven't heard a ton about the ongoing massacres in Nigeria. Islamists there have murdered tens of thousands of defenseless Christians, displacing around 15 million people from their homes. Medieval sexual violence and torture are regularly practiced by Islamist militants who also recruit children into their terrorist army. Catholic priests are regularly targeted for kidnapping. The victims of Boko Haram and other Islamist groups in Nigeria aren't members of any army. Yet, as far as I know, there have been no college protests or rallies in the streets of American cities decrying the systemic ethnic cleansing by Muslim forces. The Israel-obsessed right-wing podcasters who claim to stand for Christian values and decency barely, if ever, mention the slaughter of their co-religionists. They're too busy with another topic. In Sudan, another civil war has broken out. Around 150,000 civilians have been murdered so far, while around 12 million have been displaced from their homes. Again, Christians, along with non-Arab minorities, are among the most vulnerable. Much like Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood's Sudanese armed forces enjoy producing gleeful videos of their wanton killing sprees. On the other side of the war is the Rapid Support Forces, who are not much better. Not long ago, they teamed up with SAF to ethnically cleanse the Sudanese population of non-Arabs. Yet this campaign of extermination garners no mention from the squad. No Ben & Jerry's co-founder has created a special flavor for the millions of victims of the Sudanese Islamists. The leaders of France, Britain, and Canada have yet to preen in front of the cameras as they recognize a state for their minorities of Sudan. Then again, Christians who predate Muslim in the Middle East by centuries have been driven out or massacred in most Islamic nations. In the 20 years since Iraq was freed from Saddam Hussein, the Christian population has shrunk from 1.4 million to around 120,000. In Syria, the Christian population has dramatically contracted as well and is in constant danger. Christians made up somewhere around 80% of the Lebanese population at one point. Now it's under 30%. In Turkey, where Muslims have hit a hat trick of genocides, Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks, the Christian population has shrunk from around 20% to somewhere around 0.2%. The Coptic Christians of Egypt lived in constant fear. The Christian population, both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, significantly decreased since Palestinians took control. If Israel annexed Christ's birthplace, Bethlehem, tomorrow, of course, the Christian population would immediately explode. It's difficult not to notice that Islamists are generally given a pass by the same Westerners who spend their days accusing Israel of war crimes. Not that Israel obsessives care about Muslim victims either, mind you, if the oppressor isn't a Westerner. In Yemen, Iran-funded Houthis have sparked another civil war. Somewhere around 17 million people teeter on the edge of starvation daily, including over 1 million children. You won't see any flotillas packed with privileged celebrities headed to a Yemeni port to feed children in hunger. Of course not. Unlike the Israelis, who gave activists air-conditioned rooms and airline tickets back to the comforts of their European homes, the Houthis would almost surely be less gracious. There are no protests over Turkish ethnic cleansing efforts of Kurds from their own nation to southern Syria and Iraq. There are no big banners flown at left-wing protests demanding the Chinese communist ethnic cleansing campaigns end. The Democrat Party's mayoral candidate in New York City, who spent his adult life pretending to be a humanitarian, doesn't think it's worth mentioning this barbarism. Those who rail against AIPAC never seem to care about the billions of dollars the petro sheiks of Qatar dump into our institutions to corrode Western values. Conversion to Christianity, incidentally, is still a sin in Qatar, punishable by the death sentence. Do the young people left and right who've been propagandized into believing that Israel and American Jews are their enemy understand any of this is going on? Probably not. Israel's imaginary genocide dominates news coverage because progressives are obsessed with colonizers, and the populist social media bigots use the Jewish state to spread their own paranoia. If they're interested, however, there is plenty of real ethnic cleansing to protest. I thought that was a powerful message from David Hersani. I wanted to pass it along to you. Did you catch President Trump's 60 Minutes interview yesterday? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Some other breaking news stories. We're also going to talk about the mayoral race in New York City, obviously a major topic, not just in the city, but throughout the country because of the implications. One quick thing. On Saturday morning, there was an intentional explosion at Harvard's medical campus. It is now under investigation. A fire alarm at the Goldson building, part of Harvard's medical campus in Boston, went off at 2:48 a.m. A Harvard University Police Department officer who responded to the call saw two unidentified individuals fleeing from the building, Harvard said in a statement. The explosion occurred on the 4th floor of the building. No injuries were reported in the incident, but the explosion appeared to be intentional, according to an initial assessment by the Boston Fire Department's arson unit. The Boston Police Department also responded and conducted a sweep of the building for any additional devices, but none were found. The university released photos on Saturday evening of two individuals captured on CCTV footage. One was depicted wearing a balaclava and the other wearing a hoodie with the hood raised and a face covering. The university asked for the public's help in identifying those individuals. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Trump's 60-minute interview. Your thoughts on the mayoral race in New York City. Mamdani's still the favorite, but Sliwa and Cuomo closing that gap a little bit. We'll be talking about that. We also have government shutdown updates as we enter, about 34 days here? 33 days? So we'll be talking about that as well. Stay with us. We're just getting warmed up on this Monday morning edition of Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back.
Suburban Propane is here for your residential and industrial propane needs. Serving the surrounding area for over 95 years, we take pride in our reliable delivery service with 24/7, 365 emergency service answered by company representatives. Call today to start your Suburban Propane service.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
It's the tea party for Crystal with Miss Marshmallow.
Oh, wow.
And Sarah's first day of management training at Goodwill. When you donate to Goodwill, you help provide skills training and career placement. And the things you love start a new life too.
Big Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. My goodness, I missed all these waves coming in. Thank you very much. Let's add those. A couple comments that we'll get to here in just a little bit. Okay, so Trump Giving that 60 Minutes interview yesterday, he said he does not expect the U.S. to go to war with Venezuela, but defended recent military strikes in the Caribbean, accusing Nicolas Maduro's regime of flooding the U.S. with criminals and agreeing that Maduro's days as president are numbered. I don't think so, but they've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into a country that we didn't want, people from prisons. They emptied their prisons into our country. They also, if you take a look, they emptied their mental institutions and their insane asylums into the United States of America because Joe Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. This was a contentious interview, as you can imagine. O'Donnell pressed Trump about the scale of the military operation, asking if it was more about stopping narcotics or removing Maduro. He said, to me, that would be almost number one because we have other countries like Mexico who have been very bad to us in terms of drugs, okay? Very bad. We've had a closed border right now, so think of this. 0 people coming into a country through our southern border. When O'Donnell asked Trump if Maduro's days as president of Venezuela are numbered, Trump responded, oh, I would say yeah. I think so, yeah. O'Donnell asked Trump whether if there was any truth to reports of possible land strikes in Venezuela. He said, I'm not sure it's true or untrue, he said. He also, this was his first interview with CBS News since suing the network's parent company, the first 60 Minutes interview, I should say. You have helped these government shutdowns in the past, interviewer Norah O'Donnell said at the beginning of the sit-down, questioning Trump's handling of the situation, prompting a back and forth in which the two try to talk over each other, which is very annoying how quote-unquote journalists do that now, the kind of live fact-checking or the talking over of their guests. Trump shot back, I'm not going to do it by being extorted by the Democrats who have lost their way. There's something wrong with these people. He then pinned the blame for the shutdown, the second longest in U.S. history, on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, whom he called a basket case. He's going to be defeated in the next election by a vast number of people, and he has nothing to lose. He's become a kamikaze pilot. Now, last week, Schumer proposed approving food stamps-only bill to compensate for the SNAP benefits hanging in the balance instead of voting to reopen the government in full. Schumer and his fellow Senate Democrats have voted over a dozen times to keep the government shut down from October 1st. Trump later on in the 60 Minutes interview doubled down on his intention to restart testing the U.S. nuclear weaponry, which he boasted could blow up the world 150 times. Why do we need to test our nuclear weapons, O'Donnell said, to which Trump replied, we're the only country that doesn't test, and I don't want to be the only country that doesn't test. The president then cited Russia and China, both of which he said are actively testing their nuclear weapons. Last week, Russia President Vladimir Putin announced that his country's military successfully tested a nuclear-powered torpedo. Days earlier, Putin also celebrated Russia's invincible nuclear-powered cruise missile, nicknamed a tiny flying Chernobyl by an expert. Trump explained that if there were a ranking, the U.S. would have the best nuclear weapons, with Russia shortly behind and China in third. He also, in this contentious interview, weighed in on the New York City mayoral race. He slammed communist frontrunners around Mamdani. Trump then again warned to withhold federal funds for the Big Apple if Mamdani is elected on Tuesday. He said, and it's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York, because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. He previously suggested he would send troops to New York City if Mamdani wins, and asserted that the Democrat socialist victory would be a fluke. We're going to talk more about the mayor's race coming up in just a little bit. A couple other updates from stories we brought to you last week. Oh, this was exciting. The 2024 biopic, did you see it? Reagan, of course, about the life of Ronald Reagan, has been awarded the Best Western Film Drama at the Will Rogers Medallion Award Ceremony, after the popular film got snubbed by the Academy of Motion Pictures for Best Picture Oscar over the DEI requirements. We are deeply honored by the recognition from the Will Rogers Medallion Awards, said Mark Joseph, who produced the movie that featured Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan. To be celebrated in this way is a meaningful affirmation of our cast, crew, and the enduring resonance of Reagan's legacy in American culture, and especially the West. The Will Rogers Medallion Awards celebrate the excellence across literature, film, and songwriting that reflects the heritage and values of the American West and entertainer Will Rogers. The ceremony and other events were held in Rogers' hometown of Claremore and neighboring Tulsa. The Reagan film, which depicts the life and legacy of the 40th president, was popular with moviegoers, but wasn't up for consideration for Best Picture Oscar from the Academy of Motion Pictures because it failed to meet the judges' DEI requirements. Movie Guide and the Dove Awards rated Reagan as amongst the best films of 2024, while also receiving a nomination by the Razzies and the International Film Criticism Society as among the worst flicks of the year, of course, because of pro-conservative message. The film has the largest gap in history between film critics and moviegoers at Rotten Tomatoes, scoring a sky-high 98 with moviegoers, but only 18 from film critics. Surprise, surprise. All right. Also, well, we got a couple other updates that we're going to go through quickly. A couple things here about Charlie Kirk. Then we're going to talk about the government shutdown. As I said, we have two guests coming on in the 7 o'clock hour. Well, one at the very tail end of the 6 o'clock hour, which is Justin Eberlin. He is running for Steuben County Legislator. And then we have James Cool coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. We got a busy week. Tomorrow, of course, Election Day. And then Wednesday, we'll be focusing on the results. So you'll want to tune in all week. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
At Penn State Wrestling, we preach excellence and try and strive every single day to be better than we were the last. It's very clearly resembled here.
It's Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. We're a family.
I can tell he's a wrestler and he supports us. I'm really grateful for that.
You've got to repeat the process so many times to get it right. But once you get it right, you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it the same way every time, every day without fail. No exceptions. It's like wrestling. The good wrestlers, they really practice hard and work hard.
Blaze Alexander, where champions strive.
The return Twin Tiers Comic-Con, November 15th and 16th at the Arnott Mall Event Center. Meet film and TV legend Ed Begley Jr., plus the voice of Pocahontas, the stars of Mallrats, and voice actors from Naruto, Kingdom Hearts, Street Fighter, and more. Veteran comic book creators and over 150 artists and vendors. Gaming events and costume contests with cash prizes. Free activities for kids, Q&A meet and greets, and so much more. Twin Tiers Comic-Con, veterans and kids 14 and under free. Tickets on sale now at twintierscomiccon.com.
Hasselson's is more than just your local hot tub and swimming pool store. Did you know Hasselson's carries Oakley, Costa, and Maui Jim sunglasses? Hasselson's also carries Luminox watches certified by the U.S. Navy SEALs. Hasselson's has the new all-in-one Metal Ridge wallets, easy to carry and easy to use. Hasselson's also carries card accessories, suspenders, leather belts, wallets, and dog toys. Hasselson's also has over 400 styles of men's and ladies' work and western boots and hikers. Stop in today and see why after 70 years it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hasselson's.
Is this your mom?
Yes.
And that's your dad?
Nope.
I'm the father.
Even if you're the father, you're lying.
My family does not like my boyfriend.
Solid family.
I've had enough of this. I'm not your mommy.
Now you're just talking crazy.
Don't do that. I'm not your auntie, I'm your mother.
Can't cross mama and come in here and get treated nice. Your case is dismissed and so are you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Miranda Devine has a good point. We talked about this last week, and Climate Fact Friday, Bob sent us in his weekly message, and we talked about Bill Gates. Bill Gates kind of having doing a complete 180, saying that global warming is not going to destroy mankind. Well, Miranda Devine says Bill Gates should wear a Trump was right about everything hat to next month's COP30 climate talks in Brazil as a sort of scarlet letter after his backflip on climate change. Quote, climate change is not the biggest threat to the lives and livelihoods of people in poor countries, and it won't be in the future, said the billionaire climate activist. Gates finally got to the right answer, but not before doing immense damage as one of the most influential and well-heeled backers of a global scam to hijack science and scare everyone in a whole generation. Like rats deserting a sinking ship, climate activists are disavowing a decade of lies and hyperbole and admitting that it's not an existential threat to humanity. Even Greta Thunberg is on to greener pastures. So thank you to Miranda Devine for that. Wanted to mention this quickly. Coming from, what was this outlet? Many media outlets try to persuade you or make you believe that Antifa does not exist as a group. But two Antifa groups, Front Range Antifa and Colorado Springs Antifa, put out a hit list poster on a University of Colorado sophomore who happens to be the leader of the University of Colorado's Turning Point USA chapter. He was promptly attacked by a person in the signature Antifa black outfit on rollerblades who used a hockey stick to attack him. According to a press release, Boulder police are looking for a suspect accused of attacking a 19-year-old Turning Point USA student leader near the University of Colorado Boulder. The attacker suspected to be an Antifa member and to have followed the victim in the premeditated attack. The suspect is described as dressed in all black clothing, a black ski mask, and had a green Gatorade bottle with an orange top in his back right pants pocket. He was skating with a hockey stick. The suspect fled the scene after the victim called 911, and Boulder police and CU police officers searched the area but did not locate him. In the interest of transparency, detectives are also confirming that they are aware that the victim was the subject of some social media posts and a digital flyer circulated by others prior to last night's incident. Whether these played a role in the reported assault is part of the investigation, and police are not commenting further on their findings. The Antifa flyer accused the sophomore of being, quote, an active member of, quote, a neo-Nazi organization and is responsible for white supremacist, anti-Semitic, and anti-LGBTQ vandalism on campus and across Boulder, and also participated in a white supremacist boxing tournament. The Boulder Students for a Democratic Society reported that they shared the flyer on social media. They encouraged followers to share widely and tag the school to notify them of a Nazi activist on CU Boulder campus. The Turning Point USA student was not seriously injured, but the point was made by Antifa that any critics can be tracked down and attacked. Recently, in a debate with a college professor, Mary Ann Frank, on free speech, this writer objected when she repeated the often used claim on the left that, quote, if you oppose Antifa, you are by definition a fascist. I know that many in the free speech community have been threatened by this group, which is the most violent anti-free speech movement in the United States. So passing that along to you. Also, in relationship to Charlie Kirk, a popular left-wing podcaster is being denounced on social media for posting an internet meme that depicts Charlie Kirk's wife as a fake grieving widow grifter. Kyle Kulinski, the host of Secular Talk, the podcast, who boasts 500,000 followers on X, was widely condemned on Saturday after he posted the image of a fake Spirit Halloween costume package with a nasty message and a photoshopped image of Erica Kirk. The nasty image is a play on the popular internet meme showing bogus packaging from the holiday pop-up chain that appears to be the real thing, as it includes the famed orange background and description of the contents inside the package. The meme is often deployed to mock public figures or current events. In this case, Kulinski posted a generated image that showed Erica Kirk shedding fake teardrops that caused the eyeliner to drip all the way down to her torso. The image also shows Kirk wearing what is called a skin-tight black leather morning pants while she holds what appears to be a bag or a hat that is overflowing with cash. Kulinski's post sparked fierce backlash, with fellow podcaster Anna Chikayan commenting, "Some of you are awful. I don't know how you negotiate your love for your family and friends with your nihilistic contempt for your ideological enemies. This is extremely ugly behavior, and you should feel ashamed of yourself." Carl Roth wrote, "When one of your loved ones passes, someone will remind you of this. The only person this reflects poorly on is you. Politics has rotted your brain and your soul." The post has sought comments from Erica Kirk and Kulinski. So just an update of that hate. All right, when we come back, we are going... Oh, no, we got a second here. But we're going to talk about the government shutdown. There's so much to talk about here. Well, look at all these comments and waves coming in. With Trump in office, there's no more money in the climate hoax. So Gates is moving on. Why he admitted it is another story. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. The time for transparency and accountability has never been more urgent. With critical revelations surfacing thanks to brave whistleblowers, the potential implications of this unfolding saga could reshape the political landscape. Senator Eric Schmidt takes center stage to shed light on the necessity of extensive investigations reminiscent of Watergate, highlighting the significance of continued scrutiny into the Arctic frost probe. Could we be on the brink of major resignations or even possible charges? The discussion surrounding Judge Boasberg's controversial decision paints a picture of a system under strain, with echoes of past battles in our current political arena. This fascinating dialogue is a must-watch for anyone invested in the truth behind these monumental events. That goes in line, and I think it was Miranda Devine who said it. John Brennan had a meltdown when confronted about the investigation into him. It was satisfying, says Miranda Devine, to see former CIA Director John Brennan lose his cool when he was cornered in his comfortable lair among cronies in Virginia last week about his various plots against Donald Trump. Brennan was basking in the adulation of friends and assorted gullible future CIA members as he sat on stage as part of an intelligence panel at the Hayden Center at George Mason University outside Washington. But his smug demeanor cracked when he was confronted by whistleblower Thomas Speciale during audience question time. Speciale asked Brennan why he overrode objections from CIA Moscow specialists to force the discredited and perverted Steele dossier into the 2017 intelligence assessment that launched the Russiagate scheme to frame Donald Trump as a Russian asset. Yes, but doesn't it ring true, Brennan said. Speciale is a 30-year career Army intelligence officer and was an intelligence strategist at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence at the time the Russiagate intelligence assessment was cooked up. So he knew what he was talking about when he laid out the facts. Everything he put to Brennan on Thursday night is backed by emails and documents declassified in July by current CIA Director John Ratcliffe, which showed the intelligence assessment was deliberately corrupted by Brennan, FBI Director James Comey, and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Before savoring Speciale's gut punch to Brennan, it's worth setting the scene. Brennan, who regularly has accused Trump of treason, is currently under criminal referral to the Department of Justice for lying to Congress. He sat on stage with two fellow signatories of the bogus Dirty 51 letter that falsely claimed Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. So I don't want to go into the whole history of this, but and I don't want to get into exactly, you know all about the Dirty 51. Brennan knew what he was doing when he abused the lofty position he held at the top of America's national security establishment. Having held so much power, he thought he was untouchable. But his unhinged reaction to Speciale shows he must be worried that accountability is finally knocking at his door, in line with what that viewer said. We got to take a short break. We're going to talk about government shutdown when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Ferrari Auto Team! Right now, get a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L with third row seats for 0% for 72 months. Wow! 0% is here with seating for up to 7 passengers and even more cargo space. A new Grand Cherokee L. 0%, 72 months. Wow!
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
The Drive Into Fall event is going on now at Ferrario.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Can someone tell me how and why judges have acquired the power they seem to have? How do they override the President of the United States? Isn't it time that the Supreme Court steps in? That's a very good point. We've talked about that extensively, even in the situation with the government shutdown, the judge deciding that SNAP benefits have to be paid by, Wednesday? So you raise a good question. It's really been one of the major issues that we talked about in Trump's second term. So a great question. All right, Stephen Collinson says a defining week has dawned in American politics. Now, Stephen Collinson is with CNN. It will have huge implications for Donald Trump's second presidency, for his fellow Republicans, and for a Democrat Party seeking to build a new future from the ashes of its 2024 election humiliation. The government shutdown is now in its 34th day and less than 48 hours from becoming the longest ever. But none of the political stakes compare to the misery of millions of Americans now struggling to get by on $0 paychecks or who risk losing health care or vital food assistance. Quote, it feels as if the government doesn't care. The holidays are coming. People are going to be hungry. We are the land of opportunity, and it doesn't look like it. Janice, a federal worker who is the daughter and granddaughter of a military veteran, told CNN. Trump seems oblivious to political appearance or the risk that the shutdown could further damage him among most Americans who have soured on his second term. Creating an impression of gilded indifference, he hosted a Great Gatsby-themed Halloween party at his luxury Florida club and boasted about the swish renovations of a bathroom in the White House. The swish? I don't know what that means. In a combative interview on CBS, on 60 Minutes, Trump showed no sign of looking for a way out that did not involve a total defeat for Democrats whom he described as crazed lunatics. He said the opposition party would eventually have to capitulate and vote to open the government. The president has complicated GOP calculations by renewing demands for reluctant Senate Republicans to shatter the chamber's filibuster rule to reopen the government with a simple majority vote. GOP leaders fear this would embolden a future Democratic majority. The Republicans have to get tougher. If we end the filibuster, we can do exactly what we want. We're not going to lose power, Trump said. The nation's embittered politics, which set the stage for the Washington shutdown disaster, will take a fresh twist with a handful of key elections on Tuesday, which could help resolve the impasse or perhaps will just deepen the morass. Voters will deliver the first major verdict, on Trump's second term in gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey, where Democrats lead in the polls. The New York mayor race could enshrine Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani as an electric new talent in a party split between wariness of his politics and enthusiasm over his youth. A victory for Mamdani over the old guard of former Governor Andrew Cuomo would also hand a new foil to Trump, who paints the 34-year-old as the far-left face of his rival party. In California, meanwhile, voters will decide whether to redraw the congressional map to favor Democrats in a clutch of seats in response to Trump's similar moves in Texas and elsewhere ahead of next year's midterm elections. Their endorsement would be a huge boost to California's Governor Gavin Newsom, who is claiming a national leadership role ahead of a likely run for president in 2028. The elections and the deepening pain over the shutdown, set off on October 1st by Senate Democrats in a bid to force Republicans to extend Obamacare subsidies, will play out against the daily backdrop of chaos and extremes of the second Trump era. The Supreme Court on Wednesday will hear arguments over Trump's Liberation Day tariffs that started a global trade war. The justices' eventual decision could set up a showdown with the executive branch or confirm Trump's claims of emergency power and yet another vast expansion of presidential authority. The same underlying question of whether Trump is illegally acting on powers he is granted by the Constitution underpins an escalating crisis over the administration's strikes against what it claims are drug traffickers, boats in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Critics accuse the administration of carrying out extrajudicial killings and breaking the law by acting without congressional consent. The White House has offered no proof or justification to the American people for its actions, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has banned subordinates from discussing the strikes with Congress without prior approval. On Capitol Hill, pressure on both parties to end the shutdown is becoming visceral. The reality of rising health care premiums for those with Affordable Care Act policies struck home with the start of open enrollment Saturday. Premiums were already set to rise significantly because of the cost of care and drugs, but the expiration of the subsidies means prices are shooting out of the reach of many policyholders. This is why Democrats sought to use the only leverage they had in Washington, the ability to block most legislation in the Senate to force a showdown to coerce Republicans into action. We want to make sure that we can decisively address the Republican health care crisis, which is crushing people all across the country, said Hakeem Jeffries. And the dispute was only about health care. Democrats might have claimed victory by now. But by closing the government, they precipitated the furloughing of millions of federal employees as others were forced to work without pay. This has led to the potential cutoff of food stamps to more than 40 million people and is disrupting air travel as Thanksgiving looms. Democrats accuse Trump of withholding emergency funding they say could partially finance food stamps for this month, claiming that they have been validated by several federal judges. But the extreme disruption and costs of the shutdown are scrambling normal political calculations and may mean no party earns a clear-cut win. So for them to say no party earns a clear-cut win, that just means that Republicans are winning the battle, but not if you hear, again from CNN, clearly stating, this is, oh, okay, thank you. Swish is a bathroom remodeling company. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I didn't understand what that meant. I appreciate that. We do have to take a short break here, but CNN is saying Democrats are winning the shutdown politics. Can they stop now? This is according to analysis by Aaron Blake at CNN. Do you agree with this? After the 2013 government shutdown ended, Republican leaders made clear they had only been humoring Senator Ted Cruz and his plot to defund Obamacare. It was not a smart play. It had no chance of success, said Mitch McConnell at the time. Then House Speaker John Boehner initially said the GOP had fought the good fight, but he would later say the plan never had a chance and even called the Texas senator Lucifer in the flesh. This is how shutdowns generally go. The side seeks the concession fights, what they view as the good fight, and then they give up when it becomes clear that it is also a losing fight because, as McConnell has often said, shutdowns don't work. And maybe that's how Democrats thought this one would go. House Speaker Mike Johnson basically predicted as much Saturday, wagering Democrats might back down after Tuesday's elections. But in a full month into the shutdown, it's hard to see how Democrats can give up now. The politics of this have gone surprisingly well for them. And Republicans seem to be the ones struggling for a path forward. Whew, this is wishful thinking, isn't it? Much can change as some of the biggest impacts of the shutdown start to hit this weekend and in the coming weeks. But we're in a very different kind of shutdown this time. One where it's much tougher to see the politics forming an obvious off-ramp. The polling on blame has been remarkably consistent since before the shutdown began. People continue to blame President Trump and the Republicans more than Democrats by double-digit margins in most surveys. That margin was 45 to 33% in a Washington Post ABC News poll released Thursday. A Yahoo News YouGov poll, meanwhile, showed 46% said they blamed conservative Republicans a lot for the shutdown, more than 38% who blamed progressive Democrats that much. Surveys also continue to show that Democrats' policy demand, an extension of the enhanced Obamacare subsidies, remains popular with more than 7 in 10 Americans. That Yahoo survey also suggested a problem for Republicans that we haven't seen tested in previous polling. It showed Americans said by a nearly 3-to-1 margin that they disapprove of the firing of thousands of federal workers during the shutdown. This was, of course, Trump's big threat to Democrats. He made a big show of casting Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought as the Grim Reaper, ready to target Democrat employees and programs for cuts, even as some Republicans cautioned the White House that such cuts could squander the GOP's political advantages. Then the administration followed through. But it doesn't seem to have dissuaded Democrats from pressing forward, and there's now reason to believe those Republicans had a point about these cuts backfiring on the administration. Indeed, much of the GOP's handling of this seems rather haphazard, and Friday was a case in point. The day started with Republicans dealing with a curveball from Trump, who decided to suddenly urge them to nuke the filibuster to end the shutdown. This completely impractical idea also legitimized a key Democratic talking point, that Republicans would end the shutdown anytime they want. Then, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins made a few seemingly unhelpful comments about the SNAP program. She at one point said that if people really needed them that badly, that we have failed you. House Speaker Mike Johnson soon stepped in to clarify that the we somehow meant we, the Democrats. Neither Rollins nor Johnson is in fact a Democrat. Separately, Rollins was non-committal when asked whether the administration would abide by a judge's order for its release emergency SNAP fundings, saying we're looking at all options. It was a stunning response, not just because ignoring court orders could trigger a constitutional crisis, but also because it means the administration would be talking about a drastic step to prevent, or would be taking such a drastic step to prevent poor people from getting food. All right, enough on that. If you're a Democrat, it's hard to look at all of that and not want to at least let things play out. You might think the premium increases that people are seeing on their Obamacare plans all after open enrollment began Saturday could shift the politics even more in your favor. And maybe you've got a little more confidence in how the SNAP issue is going to play. You might even start to think that at the end of this long journey, there could be something more valuable than a moral victory. All right, anyway. So Democrats are winning, according to CNN, the shutdown battle. Your thoughts? Stay with us. We got to take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When I was in law school, my father had to stop working when he developed early Alzheimer's. Social Security disability benefits saved my parents financially. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. Now I'm a lawyer who helps people when they need Social Security disability. If you can't work, I'd like to help.
For a free consultation, call Lockman & Gorton toll-free 1-800-698-0567. When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Everyone has a ritual. That small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
In a few words. Urkel, glasses. Nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5:30.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back. I'm just looking at all these comments. A lot of waves coming in. Appreciate all the comments that people are sending in. If you're new to the show, you see that right at the bottom of your screen, that number. Feel free to reach out anytime. All right, let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? I'm going to miss a few here. We'll get to them in the next segment. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I am not unsympathetic to people suffering because of the shutdown. But how are people literally starving when SNAP is only a day or two late? Seems a little hyperbolic. Yes, it does, but it's good optics. It's a good talking point for press releases. Ken writes in, Meet the Depressed didn't disappoint. The first segment up was Steve Kornicki going over the NBC polling, which claims Trump and the Republicans are losing support from voters on almost all issues. I'm sure that they wouldn't try to sway this week's elections or the midterm elections away from Republicans and towards the Democrats with rigged polling. Newsom was on, clandestinely campaigning for president and trying to prop up the Democrats' push for Prop 50 to re-gerrymander California. for an even more lopsided electoral map towards the Democrats. Newsom wants us to know that he is just fighting to bring normalcy back to American politics. He claimed that the Biden economy was the best economy since the 60s. Apparently, Wonder Bread has clouded his mind and altered the facts. As he was talking, I'm pretty sure he gave himself carpal tunnel in both hands from overuse. Yeah, he does use his hands a ton, doesn't he? The depressed panel did their best to convince everyone that the people are sour on President Trump and the Republicans due to the bad economy and shutting down the government. This week, with George Stephanopoulos, followed suit by citing the ABC polling that says the people are unhappy with Trump and Republicans. The leprechaun senator, Tim Kaine, did his best to prop up the Democrats and demonize Trump and the Republicans on the shutdown. He said that Democrats are just looking for a conversation and discussion on a path forward for affordable health care for all Americans. He failed to say why the Democrats had to shut the government down and hold the American people hostage to have that conversation, instead of allowing the government to be funded for just 7 more weeks, which would have allowed time for that conversation. To face the nation, continued the propaganda. Trump and Republicans are bad and Democrats are good. Being a good Democrat soldier, they also noted Trump and the Republicans falling CBS poll numbers. Dan Crenshaw was on and told the truth on the shutdown that Democrats are trying to help sidestep democracy by holding the American people hostage. If they want to help the people, vote to open the government and then have discussions on the budget. He upheld the drug boat strikes and confirmed that there is no question that these boats are trying to smuggle drugs into our country. The Massachusetts governor said the Democrats carry no responsibility for shutting down the government, which I think was the only reason Brennan asked the question, so he could try and put the blame on Trump and the Republicans. I also watched the 60 Minutes interview. There wasn't much new. If you pay attention to politics, mostly because President Trump is constantly holding press sessions and is accessible almost 24/7, unlike Biden, who was only accessible about 4 out of 4. It was clear that Norah O'Donnell dislikes and doesn't respect Trump during most of the interview. She did her best to talk over him anytime he was talking, an obvious attempt to muddy Trump's responses. Yes, it was very, very frustrating. We've got some other comments coming in that we will get to here in just a little bit, but I have to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this hour, and then we're going to get to our good friend Justin Eberlin, who is running for Steuben County Legislature. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And right at the top of the hour, which is coming up very quickly, we're going to hear from Justin Eberlin. And then later on, we're going to hear from James Cool. Both are running for Steuben County Legislature, where Justin Eberlin is in the district that encompasses Caton, Corningtown, and Hornby. And we have James Cool, who is running for Steuben County Legislature, running for re-election to Steuben County Legislature, District 12 in Irwin. All right, some comments from viewer. As for the interview on 60 Minutes, which I did watch, even though I don't like to tune into that channel, I would have preferred Stephen Miller taking the hits. Not Trump's best, in my opinion. He missed opportunities to fire back with valid questions on why much of this is necessary, etc. To be fair, they could have asked him more questions about ice cream and various toppings he enjoys. Yes, much like if he were a Democrat president. All right, comment from a different viewer. Democrats are winning? Yet another example of the ability of Democrats to fabricate illusions. Thank you very much. And that's in reference to CNN, who said the Democrats are winning the shutdown fight. And finally, in this segment, this viewer writes, I think the government shutdown is intentional because the longer people suffer, the more they can blame Trump and therefore influence the vote. Just my 2 cents. Thank you very much. And one other comment from Mark. He said, so after voting tomorrow, we might get the best news ever that Elise Stefanik will run for governor. Well, that is the speculation that after the election, she is going to declare that she is running for governor. That has been the talk, at least in behind closed doors, but we will watch patiently to see when she announces. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warns that airport delays will get worse as the government shutdown continues. I think the real consequence is what kind of rolling delays do you have throughout the system, right? He said to Margaret Brennan. We've seen problems at LA and Dallas and DC, Boston, Atlanta, and so I think it's only going to get worse. And now shutdown is hitting millions of homes that depend on heating assistance. Nearly 6 million households depend on the $4.1 billion low-income home energy assistance program, with some states warning funding for the program is being delayed because of the federal government shutdown now in its 5th week. All right, we got a couple other things on the government shutdown, but we wrap up hour number 1. Coming up at the very top of the hour, we are going to hear from Justin Eberlin, so don't miss that. Stay tuned. And then after that, we'll be talking with James Cool. A lot of waves, a lot of comments coming in. I do appreciate that. Keep them coming in. Keep those waves coming in. If you're new to the program, as I mentioned, that number on the bottom of the screen, you can send in your comments at any time. I try to do my best to read them and get your opinions out there. Oh, I see that John Fetterman, did apologize on behalf of Senate Democrats who have not voted to end the government shutdown. So he doesn't think Democrats are winning this. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. CNN says Democrats are winning the shutdown, and then the article after it was John Fetterman apologizing for his fellow Democrats keeping the government shut down. Kind of something very poetic about those two stories being together. But we are out of time. Stay with us. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 mere moments away.
Suburban Propane is here for your residential and industrial propane needs. Serving the surrounding area for over 95 years, we take pride in our reliable delivery service with 24/7, 365 emergency service answered by company representatives. Call today to start your Suburban Propane service.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
Attention, Twin Tiers! H.L. Stevens' lease in Horseheads is ending, and everything in the store has to go. Sofas, bedrooms, recliners, mattresses, dining sets. We're now reducing prices even further. All items must go. The Horseheads location only is closing, so hurry before it's too late. Our Montour Falls store will stay open, and we're expanding very soon to serve you even better. So don't miss your last chance for a once-in-a-lifetime savings at H.L. Stevens Furniture in Horseheads, New York.
The Twin Tiers Comic-Con, November 15th and 16th at the Arnott Mall Event Center. Meet film and TV legend Ed Begley Jr., plus the voice of Pocahontas, the stars of Mallrats, and voice actors from Naruto, Kingdom Hearts, Street Fighter, and more. Veteran comic book creators and over 150 artists and vendors. Gaming events and costume contests with cash prizes. Free activities for kids, Q&A meet and greets, and so much more. Twin Tiers Comic-Con, veterans and kids 14 and under free. Tickets on sale now at twintierscomiccon.com.
Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, Justin, welcome back, buddy.
Than's you. Thanks for having me.
How's it feel? Tomorrow's a big day. You've been working hard for this.
It's a thing.
All right, so tomorrow, of course, is Election Day. What's your Wednesday look like? Get to relax.
I anticipate a bunch of phone calls.
Okay.
That's some texts and phone calls.
Yes. Yes.
One way or the other.
But as I mentioned, you have been working hard. How would you say the campaign's been going?
Campaign's going good.
Good.
Strong.
And I mean, you've been someone that I shouldn't speak like this, but I've heard people say it. You've been really knocking on a lot of doors. That's kind of been an emphasis in meeting with people and not kind of the campaign of just hoping for yard signs, perhaps. Would you say that's fair?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Knocking on doors, having small events, just community engagement.
Do you feel that the community's involved? Are they excited for the local elections? Because I know we've all talked about getting voters out.
I think that's part of the challenge of the community. So I've branched out and gone to different public events.
Oh, great.
Churches, fire departments, just stop in and say hello. Not so much preach campaign, but show presence.
Yes. So let's start off. I know that was kind of a start to it, but tell us a little bit about your background for people that aren't aware.
So Town of Hornby, started planning board.
Yeah.
Moved up to council member. And then just recently, I'm 2 years in now as the town supervisor.
So the natural progression, right?
Seems to be. Seems to be.
And you're different than many of the candidates we had because you have had all those steps. How would you say those things prepared you to get on the legislature? Excuse me.
Well, I think the biggest preparation is just knowing and talking to the residents when they show up to your meetings and how to. It's different than talking to your buddy in the garage. It's talking to the public and having that connection.
But you are a busy town supervisor. Why did you decide to run specifically for legislature?
I decided between my current work at the Hospital of Healthcare and the town work duties that I thought it would pair well and represent Steuben County.
What are your main goals? And I say platform, kind of that cliche term, but your platform if you are successful for legislature?
The biggest I brought up before was learning. It's definitely going to be a learning. We don't just jump on and think we're going to change the world, but continue fiscal responsibility. It's a giant budget, and seeing how to save the taxpayers and continue to keep services that are necessary.
Sure. What are your main goals? I mean, you mentioned those specifically, but what are when you hit the ground running, you have a lot to learn, but what are your main goals, things that you hope to accomplish?
Biggest thing is more of a connection as a community. I don't know exactly what and how, but having more updates to the community, what's going on, via spreading websites, YouTubes, maybe meeting with you more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
But getting people aware of what's going on.
Yeah. What are people, because you've talked to so many people, as we said, what are they saying to you specifically? What are they concerned about in our area?
It's getting tighter, closer we come, but budgets are a giant thing.
Yeah.
Just concerned with money and future taxes of what they're going to do in 10 more years.
Right. And that budgets are really interesting because they are very wonky and boring, but everybody has their own personal household budget in a way. So they want to see their elected leaders run a tight ship like they do, right?
Right.
It's very interesting. In the news, we don't have to go through all of it, but I know last time we talked about it, and I asked the candidates in Irwin, but I think that arguably the biggest story in Steuben County was the appeal on the sheriff's lawsuit. What are your thoughts? Where do you stand on that?
Currently, I'm not sure where we stand with that appeal.
It basically sounds like a decision as early next year. I mean, it's a ways off is what I'm trying to say.
So Sheriff Allard has returned his portion of it.
When we talked to him Wednesday of last week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So kind of staying with my stance I had before, that I wasn't in those meetings, but I felt probably it could be done differently. Changing the rules in the middle of somebody's tenure as a sheriff, I don't think is the best way to go.
Right.
But I'm sitting sideways saying these. So when it's time for me to make an opinion on that, then I'll have to do so.
Absolutely. Mentioning your campaigning, you're not new to campaigning, but has there been any surprises along the way?
Biggest surprise is the amount of people that don't realize primary and general elections.
Yeah, right. I couldn't agree more.
When I call up people, I'm like, hey, it's time to put that yard sign back out. And they said, why? You won.
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's the first time.
Yeah.
So going through that process and explaining everything.
I've seen it on the other end, too, where you say, could you sign this for a primary? And they'll say, well, I'll get you in November.
Right.
No, you won't if you don't support me now. Isn't it interesting? It's confusing. It does get, and we're asking people to do something in February and sign, right? February, March, and then you're asking primary that put up signs, and now you're back in November. We're asking a lot of the voters.
We are.
When you really think about it. Okay, so tomorrow's a big day. What's your campaign look like from here on out, which is not very long, about 24 hours?
Here on out, it's in the voters' hands.
Yeah.
Still going to do a bit of campaigning to get a few stops planned.
Sure.
And try to get people to show up. Luckily, the weather looks like it's going to be good.
Right. Now, I'm sure there's still ways that they can help the viewers or to at least find out more about you if they have questions. What's the best way to do that?
Right now, my Facebook's pretty much the hottest. Justin Eberlin for Steuben County legislator. And that seems to be the hottest right now.
Gotcha. Well, how are you, I know this is the question we've been asking all year, the question of the year, how do you plan on helping get out the vote in an off-year election like this?
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Right up through till I'll probably pull the plug about 6 p.m.
Yeah, so stop bugging people at 6, right? Because, I mean, that's when, if they haven't done it by then, they're probably not going to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, the big question. What do you say to voters before they head to the booth tomorrow? Because there's no more early voting. Remember, Monday it's closed. Tuesday it opens for the general election. What would you say?
I say get out and vote. Even if you're not voting for me, get out and vote.
Great. Justin, thanks so much, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
This is a Sue the Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
At some point in your life, you or a loved one will need disability services, and Easter Seals will be there. Because at Easter Seals, our national network of caregivers and experts make a lasting difference in the lives of people with disabilities by providing care and support at every stage of life in thousands of communities across America, like yours. We're helping your neighbors, kids, grandparents, and friends with disabilities lead full, independent lives. We're Easter Seals.
The Sports app isn't just any sports app. Touchdown! Your teams, your highlights, your scores. Get more of what you want. To the end zone! Stream your teams live. It's free with your pay TV subscription.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, returning, James Cool. Thanks so much for being on the program, buddy.
Good morning, Frank. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. First of all, in my full disclaimer mode, I am a resident of the town of Irwin. I'm on the town board with Mr. Cool, so we're asking the same questions as I asked your opponent, who was on Friday. So, tell us a little bit about your background.
So thanks, Frank. Thanks. This is always great to be on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate the time with you and the opportunity to talk to the residents of Irwin and Painted Post. So I have been, I was raised in Steuben County, and I lived in Irwin for the past 10 years. I'm a proud dad of 3 boys who I think are watching right now.
All right.
So hello, guys. And my wife, Maggie. I work for a local technology company that works with business and data and about improving their performance. It's really, and I've served on the town board with you, with Irwin, for the past 4 years, and also in the county legislature.
Why did you decide, not necessarily maybe to run for re-election, but why did you decide in the beginning to run for legislator?
Well, it's always been something that I was raised with in terms of if you have a voice, then you need to use that voice. And so this is your opportunity to do that. And so I raised my hand as soon as I moved into town and was able to volunteer at within the town. And then from there, an opening at the town board and at the legislature level. And I said, I think this is something that I'd like to do because I have my ideas and I have the things that I think I can help not only in our town but also at the county level. So,
and this is a lot different than the first time around.
It certainly is.
You've had the primary and then now a general.
Absolutely. Well, and the first time around was still kind of COVID era, so
that's right.
You didn't have people opening their doors to when you had to go get signatures and so absolutely. This was the full nine or however you would call it, but it was, it's really helpful because it gets more people engaged, and that's really the best way to represent Irwin and Painted Post is to understand what is happening at the town and village level. And I'm blessed because I've been able to develop some really good relationships both in the village and at the town, and we're really taking some good steps forward. There's been a lot of progress in Irwin and at the county level, so it's been a great time to be able to help.
What do you look for the next 4 years? What are some of your goals or maybe your party platform or your election platform?
So I think we need to address transportation. Certainly, that is a component of everyday life, and if there's not reliable transportation, how are you supposed to get around to go shopping? Right. How are you supposed to get to work? How are you supposed to become a productive member? How do you get your kids to school? These are the kinds of things that people rely on, and I think we need to do a better job here in the county to be able to allow a system to be thought of and then implemented that is really going to serve everybody, not just certain pockets of the county. So that'd be one. Affordability is the other thing that I hear every time I go out and talk to our residents. And there are certain things we can do, and there are certain things we can't do. Right? We live in New York State. A lot of stuff is given to us as to what we have to do. But I think we need to be more sensible as to how far we can stretch the dollar, because I know families are doing it at home, trying to make it work, which seems like it doesn't go as far as it used to.
That's for sure.
And that's certainly a reality that we all, not only at a personal level, but at the government, you need to be looking at and using as well, that perspective.
Well, here we are. It's hard to believe that tomorrow is Election Day.
Yeah, it's here.
Hey, can you believe it? How's the campaign going?
Campaign's been great, getting a lot of engagement, and been out trying to just knock on doors, and that's really the best way to talk to people, because it's not putting it on them to come to events and find events, and it's a very busy time in the fall. Thankfully, youth sports are starting to wrap up. We're moving into the next season, but it is a really good opportunity, and that's what I really enjoy about being out there and being able to hear and honestly just meet people that say, oh, I've seen your name, and and what's important to you, and that's kind of great for me to get the chance to say, here are the things that I think are important to me. We need to have a safe community, right? Public safety is going to be top of mind. We need to be working on the affordability aspects of what it takes to live here in our area. And then, there's other things about what are the pieces that help support a thriving and prosperous community.
Right.
Having good small businesses, having them have the support. Aging communities, having them have the support that they need to be able to stay in home and to be able to continue to live here in the neighborhoods or the communities that they grew up in, they raised a family in, not trying to say, hey, it's too expensive now, I got to go find a different place to live. That kills me when I hear that. And really also then trying to say, all right, I'm selfish here in terms of I have 3 boys. I don't want them to, when they grow up and graduate, I don't want them to move away.
Right.
But I hear that again and again. How do we retain those young adults that are choosing, that have the opportunity to say, where do I want to spend the next few formative years of my young adulthood? Let's see if we can figure out ways to keep them here, so that then maybe they choose to raise their families here, like we are.
Right. And now, I know recently you just held a small business forum, so this is a little different question than I asked your opponent. But what do you find that the small businesses are saying in our area?
So there's a lot of things that they are seeing that are bigger issues. But then there's the smaller ones, which are, how do we retain workforce, right? Seeing workforce issues, how do we get people that want to live, want to work at a job that is, reliable and a wage that is one that they can live on. So you're seeing workforce issues. You're also seeing that there are regulation issues. Now, is that a county type of issue? Not really. No, but can the county take a role in helping businesses navigate what is, a very heavy regulatory environment? But then also, there are partner agencies that we have that serve all the small businesses and entrepreneurs here in the area that that some small businesses didn't even know existed. So it's really, how do we try to get the awareness out of that? And I didn't even know that one of our local small businesses was featured on Fox and Friends. A couple weekends ago.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Superpotamus out of Irwin.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that. That's wonderful.
Because it's a 100% local. She works with. I'm not going to push it too much because this is not. But it is a fantastic success story that we're lucky to have. Small business owners that do take these risks, and they need the support, and I think it's really important that we support them.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know they were on there. I'm going to have to look that up.
You do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So when you're knocking on door to door, any surprises? You're probably used to it by now.
No surprises. It's that kind of year where there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so you try to just answer questions as you can. As a county legislator, there's 17 of us in Steuben County, and so there's only so much that can be done. But certainly it's important to hear what is happening and what the concerns are at a state level, at a national level. Obviously, with the government shutdown, we are trying to, for a county that delivers state and federal services, we have to be able to figure out how to navigate that. And that's kind of plugging holes, whether financially or with services and workforce. So there's a lot going on, but I have to take my hat off to, we have wonderful department heads at the county, and county management is able to really work through. These are very complex problems, but we're trying to deliver for Steuben County residents.
Do you find, we talked about small businesses, what they're saying, what have voters been saying to you?
Voters are just, it's really a route of uncertainty, right? I mean, that's, and sometimes we all learn from the news as to what's going on.
Yeah, right.
But it's really coming down to how will this impact me, right? That's what I'm hearing and that depends, right? It depends a lot. But right now it seems like if you know people that do receive some benefits, the food pantries and the food banks are open. They are a resource, so please go and get some food if you need it.
We have an amazing food pantry right in Painted Post.
We are lucky. They are great.
What they pack into that little room is amazing. They work hard.
Yes, and we're going to be doing, and here's a shameless plug for Scouting for Food. So there's going to be a food pickup of dry goods on Saturday, November 9th. We will be driving around Irwin and Painted Post and be picking up any bags of food left out, and that goes directly to United Church Painted Post food pantry. So
what do you do? Just put it in a bag, leave it by your mailbox?
Put it in a bag, just leave it on your porch.
Oh,
wherever. We'll grab it, whether mailbox, porch, you name it.
Oh, great. Now, tomorrow is Election Day, so I normally ask what the campaign looks like here on out, but there's not too much time.
I'll be out there this afternoon to try to reach a few more people, see if I can, and really I'm going out and saying, remember, it's Election Day. We've talked in the past about how sometimes on these off years, turnout isn't as what you'd expect. And so really, I would say, if you are going to vote, or if you have voted through early voting, tell a neighbor, remind someone else that it is Election Day, because this is our chance every year, well, maybe not every year, but this year at least, in terms of being able to say, these are the things that are important to me. I think this candidate is going to be the one that's going to work on my behalf.
How do you get out the vote? Because that's the biggest topic that we've talked about it. I've talked about it with every guest. It being an off year, people just don't remember.
Yeah, and it's really trying to just say, it's Election Day.
Yes.
Vote, right? The early voting is over, so that, I don't know how successful it was. Or
I've heard good things, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's incredibly easy. But in terms of tomorrow, remind people, and if you are on Facebook, put a message out. Just say, vote today.
Don't
it
forget
doesn't
to vote.
matter to endorse anybody, just go vote. That we have 3 polling stations in Irwin, so depending on your district, you should be able to find one. And usually on an off election year, you're not facing lines.
Yeah. It's going to be a quick process. Trust me. Where can people find out more if they're kind of last minute looking into the candidates?
Sure. JamesCoolforIrwin.com has information and about me and contact information as well. Feel free to give me a call or send me a message. I have a Facebook page as well that is also going to be, provide you some information about things that are important to me and some recent activity. So go there and feel free to reach out. I know it's busy, so a lot of people don't. But if you do have that chance, then please take advantage and please reach out.
And finally, the big question: what do you say to voters before they head to the booth tomorrow?
I think you need to have active representation in your community, right? So through my efforts at the town level, at the county level, and throughout the community organizations, whether it's Scouts, whether it's Little League, with PTA, you name it, that's how we understand what's happening at the community level. That's the only way you can represent that community into another organization. So I'm the candidate that has been in this situation and have been actively representing us for the past 4 years. I'd like to keep going on some of the momentum that we've built. We've had a lot of accomplishments here, both at town level and at the county level, and I think it can be another exciting 4 years ahead of us. So please vote for me if you get out tomorrow.
Yeah,
or just vote.
Or just vote, right?
Yeah, exactly.
please just vote. James Cool's been our guest. James, thanks so much for being on the program. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Frank.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tubs and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio. Thank you to James Cool and before him, Justin Emberlin, for being on the program this morning. We were talking government shutdown before we went to break. Speaker Johnson was on Fox News Sunday, and he said that Trump is desperate for the government to open. He wants the government open. I think there's a lot of Democrats, a lot of senators, Republican and Democrat, who have resisted in the past. We, on our side, traditionally have resisted that because the worst impulses of the far-left Democratic Party that would pack the courts, and this is in reference to ending or using the nuclear option, they would do all the things the president, let's discuss there. I think we're seeing there is a reflection of his anger, his real frustration that the government is closed. He is a big-hearted president. He wants everybody to get their services and the health services for veterans and SNAP benefits and all the rest. And he's tried everything he can, and he is now exhausting his ability. The courts are now saying you can't go any further. So he's just desperate for the government to open. He's tried everything. He's tried to negotiate with them. He's pleaded with them. And they're still dug their heels in. So this is a reflection of all of our desperation. We're angry about it. I think we should be. Senator John Fetterman, saying over the weekend, apologizing actually on behalf of his Senate Democrats. In an interview on CNN, he said, I'd like to say to all the viewers, I'm apologizing that we can't get our blank together and just open up our government. John Fetterman has been very reasonable about this, very consistent in his position that the government should be open. I'm saying that I'll witness it firsthand. My wife, Giselle, she develops the free store in our community. It distributes food 3 times a week, and her lines have already gotten longer. And now I will encounter people that have no SNAP benefits starting on Saturday, and I don't have an explanation for them. All I can say is I'm sorry. It's an absolute failure, what occurred here for the last month. And now things are really going to land. And imagine being a parent with a couple of kids and how you're going to fill the refrigerator and pack their lunches and get up on with their lives when the things that they've depended on now is gone because we can't even agree to just open things up. If a Democrat, we're not allowed to just open this up, then our party has bigger problems than I thought we might have already. It's like, that's not controversial. Pay everybody. And you have our workers here borrowed over $350 million to pay their own bills. Like, it's a failure. That's John Fetterman. That the Democrats own the shutdown, and it is an absolute fail. It is actually embarrassing, honestly, if we can't even keep the lights on. All right, so there's your government shutdown. Oh, there was an editorial at the New York Post, and not the New York Post, the Buffalo News, saying federal government and local Republicans seem to have forgotten how to care. A populace that's hungrier and sicker is less likely to resist. Sounds cynical? Look at what's happening. First came federal attacks on safety net programs through recently passed legislation. Then came the government's refusal, which was immediately challenged in court, to use contingency funds to help keep the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program from shutting down. This callous attitude towards Americans' most vulnerable seems extreme, even in these extreme times. Cynical motivations for the withholding of SNAP benefits, which 1 in 8 Americans receive, must be suspected, particularly when President Trump has shown himself quite willing to find ways for the federal budget to fund other programs affected by the shutdown. If Washington wanted to keep SNAP going, it could. As the News' Robert Gavin reports, according to what Governor Hochul saw in September, the U.S. Department of Agriculture issued a message promising to continue to fund SNAP during the shutdown through the use of $5 billion in emergency SNAP money. Now the USDA says it can't use those funds. It makes no sense. That is what contingency funds are for. As it is, it's likely the federal government will be forced by a judge to fund SNAP through the contingency money can only provide partial benefits, and give the lateness of any release of these funds, families will still have to wait days before they can be funneled into their EBT cards. As everyone who has to depend on SNAP understands, those EBT cards have probably been empty for at least a week. To its credit, New York, like many other states, is finding ways to provide emergency food assistance, but it can't replace SNAP, nor can local food banks whose resources are already strained. They will do their best, and they will continue to serve our community. But it goes on here, and it's really, for whatever reason, a dig. Well, here, the repercussion of health care dysfunction are already being felt across the state, with 16 rural hospitals at immediate risk of closing. In Western New York, recognizing tightening financial margins, Claudia has closed a surgery center and plans to close 4 other facilities. New York Republicans, like Western New York Representative Nick Langworthy and Claudia Tenney, voted in favor of health care and SNAP cuts, though they must have known the damage they do. A government has to serve its people. That's not happening here. But when 2 basic needs, food and health care, have been singled out for debilitating budget cuts, meanwhile, ICE gets as much funding as it needs to roam the streets of American cities, and more than $300 million is being lavished on a White House ballroom. Again, not paid for by taxpayers' money. Whether the funding for that exercise of self-indulgence is coming from, it still speaks of disturbingly skewed priorities. When the richest country in the world has to be sued into feeding its hungriest citizens, the government of that country and its representatives are not doing their job. That's the Buffalo News. Now, we're going to talk about the mayoral race when we return, but listen to this. A 92-year-old Holocaust survivor in the Bronx voted for the first time ever, saying she cast a ballot for mayoral candidate, got a little ahead of myself, Andrew Cuomo, to try to stop frontrunner Zohran Mamdani. She said, "I've never voted before. I'm voting because I believe that Mamdani is an anti-Semite with dangerous fiscal policies," Galina Gutterman said. "We don't trust him. He has not proven to be the person that cares about everyone and cares about me." As a child, Gutterman fled to Serbia after the Nazis invaded Russia. She remained in Russia after the war and would later become a pathologist. So casting her first vote at the age of 92 years old, the Holocaust survivor voting for Andrew Cuomo. Now, Andrew Cuomo has narrowed to just a 6.6 point deficit, the slimmest edge he's had since July. The new Atlas Intel survey has Democrat candidate Mamdani leading the field with 40.6%, and the former New York governor, a registered Democrat running as an independent, clawing up to 34%. That's just days before Tuesday's election. The gap is closing fast. We could feel it on the ground somewhere from the Bronx to Staten Island. At this rate, we will win the race. Keep going strong, Cuomo said. 6 points in this election is nothing. He also said New Yorkers have done a good job educating themselves about Mamdani's pie-in-the-sky campaign promises, including free bus service and city-run grocery stores, that the Democrat nominee wouldn't have the power to deliver if elected mayor. What has happened is, in the primary, Zohran got away with his TikTok ban and a smile. Whatever he said, he smiled, and he had his slogans: freeze the rent, free buses, free food, and that was enough. What has happened since is people have found out what he's about, that there is no free food, that there are no free buses, and he can't raise corporate taxes statewide and dedicate it to New York City. That can't happen. Now, some of the early takeaways before we go to a break. By the numbers, 65% as many people have already voted this year as 1,125,258 voted in this early voting season, which is now closed. You now have to wait till the general election. More than 732,000 New Yorkers cast their vote over the 9-day early voting period that ended Sunday. There's an early voting by age gap. We also learned that early voting turnout by household income levels is a little higher. What else do we have? There's one other. Many early voters weren't registered before this year. That does speak to maybe a Mamdani surge with younger people. Obama, though, refusing to endorse Mamdani. We're going to talk about that when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. that has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Matar has a reputation for being a good guy.
Because I am a good guy.
For being focused on motor vehicle accident cases.
Because I focus on motor vehicle accidents.
For fighting for his clients.
Because I fight for my clients.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Matar. Visit WilliamMatar.com.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
We've had so many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school, I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl. Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horsesteads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. A couple viewer comments. Even liberal Justice Sotomayor is calling out Ketanji Brown Jackson's incompetence now. First, Justice Barrett schooled her. Now Sotomayor patiently explains basic legal principles to Biden's failed appointee. This is part of Jackson's dissent from the New York Post. Scary, actually. Jackson believes the executive branch has to go to Congress first to dictate the administration of federal agencies. Wow. Coming from a different viewer, bringing up a beautiful tribute. A scientist has named a newly discovered butterfly species after Irina Zarutska, so her name will live on forever. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Coming from a different viewer, Republicans no longer care. How many more fabrications will the Democrats conceive of? Isn't there some way to hold these illusionists accountable? Can we, the public, sue them? Can those who perpetrate the lies and half-truths, i.e. the leftist media, be prosecuted? I know Trump has been successful in going after them with lawsuit-wise. Now, I mentioned earlier, I got some other comments coming in. We'll get to those after the next break. Former President Barack Obama talked with mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani by phone, but withheld endorsing him after publicly backing even widely ridiculed Mayor Bill de Blasio back in 2013. The Democratic ex-president was just across the Hudson River at a last-minute rally for New Jersey Democrat gubernatorial candidate Mickey Sherrill at Essex County Community College. But he didn't venture into New York City to lobby for the party's mayoral hopeful in person, much less throw his public support behind him before the election. Mamdani campaign advisor Patrick Gaspard, who served as director of White House Office of Political Affairs and U.S. ambassador to South Africa under Obama, futilely tried to downplay the former president's lack of endorsement, as one of the race's latest polls show Mamdani's foe Andrew Cuomo closing in. President Obama doesn't endorse in local races. That's a long-standing rule post-presidency, Gaspard said. He endorses in general election races for federal office and governors. His call to Zohran is a huge boost at a critical moment and a signal to New Yorkers. But Obama's so-called endorsement rule is apparently plenty bendable. In fact, the 44th president has endorsed numerous candidates for mayor over the years, including the unpopular de Blasio. Other mayoral candidates endorsed by Obama also included beleaguered Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, as well as her predecessor, Eric Garcetti, and former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who later served as Obama's White House chief of staff. So interesting that Obama would not endorse Mamdani publicly. Now, Trump weighed in on the race. This was on 60 Minutes. Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, said Norah O'Donnell to Trump in reference to Mamdani. Charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that? The president said, well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right? It's going to be hard for me as the president to give him a lot of money to New York, because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting that money you're sending over there. He called Mayor de Blasio the worst mayor we've ever had, but predicted that Mamdani will make de Blasio look like one of our great mayors. I think I'm a much better looking person than him. Now, Chris Churchill asked the question with the Albany Times-Union, can our favorite plucky underdog, Andrew Cuomo, win this race, is the question that he asks. It's a typical Albany general election. The lack of Albany drama allows us to turn our attention south to New York City, where voters appear ready to hand the city's future over to a 34-year-old Democratic socialist with unrealistic plans and no relevant experience. But not if Andrew Cuomo can help it. Yes, our former governor, the man who ruled Albany with a ruthless fist until it all fell apart, now finds himself miscast in the role of upsetter. Polls suggesting that the race is tightening, but Zohran Mamdani remains likely to win, possibly with ease. A problem is one that haunted Cuomo well before his 2021 resignation, when he was at the height of his power. People don't seem to like him much. They tend to vote for him grudgingly rather than enthusiastically, like teenagers taking out the recycling. Do I have to? And so it is now in New York, where people who swore on their favorite dog's grave that they would never ever cast a ballot for Andrew Cuomo now find themselves compelled to vote for Andrew Cuomo. Life is funny that way. You never really know what's around the corner. Who saw Mamdani coming? Cuomo is carrying an airplane's worth of baggage, of course, but he's also the man who delivered accomplishments that include the cap on property taxes and gay marriage. He transformed airports. He built bridges and highway ramps. Throughout his endless race, the primary included, Cuomo has struggled to contain his disdain at losing to a man who until recently was a completely anonymous member of the state assembly, a rich kid whose achievement included making fun TikTok videos and a knack for tying random issues to policy. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF, he said just 2 years ago at the Democrat Socialist of America convention, referring to the Israeli Defense Force. Even if you like Mamdani's shtick, you can admit it's remarkable that a candidate who said such things, at least before the campaign, is now within sniffing distance of Gracie Mansion, or that he was endorsed by Kathy Hochul, our surprisingly moderate Democrat governor. I guess the rationale for Hochul's endorsement was obvious. She figures she needs Mamdani's supporters to win re-election next year, not against Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, whose candidacy is dormant, but against Republican North Country Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Alas, there's no guarantee Mamdani supporters will remember to vote for Hochul, and Stefanik will happily hang Mamdani's failings around the governor's neck, assuming he wins. A year from now, Hochul's political calculation may not add up, particularly if Mamdani shows he's unsuited for the job. But we can understand why Hochul might not be eager to see Cuomo become New York City mayor. Safe to say, he could make her life miserable, in part because he'd be a strong mayor who knows which levers of power do what. Mamdani, by contrast, figures to be overwhelmed by the task of governing an ungovernable city. His weakness strengthens Hochul. You can argue that Mamdani is lucky to have had Cuomo as his most prominent opponent, both in the Democrat primary and in the general election. Mamdani smiles and seems like he's having fun, while Cuomo perpetually looks like he's sucking a lemon. The difference in their ages makes the race feel like generational conflict, as if Mamdani's thin resume is a positive. You could also say that Cuomo is fortunate to be running against Mamdani, who in polls is opposed by more than half the city, with Republican Curtis Sliwa pulling a significant sliver of that vote. To the extent that Cuomo has a chance on Tuesday, it's because so many people find the prospect of Mayor Mamdani frightening because of the socialism, yes, but also because he's so green. This much, at least, we know. Cuomo will fare okay, but will he have the strength for the win? When we come back, there's a couple other things about the mayor's race, a couple things here about New York in general. We're also, a couple maybe quick things about the Democrat Party. I want to thank Justin Eberlin for being on the program this morning. He was on a little bit earlier on, running for Steuben County Legislature in Caton, Corning, the town of Corning, that is, in Hornby. And I want to thank James Kuhl for being on the program. He is running in the district for re-election that encompasses Irwin. I see some comments coming in. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
It started with a cake of ivory soap. The teacher said, well, each one of you has a cake of ivory soap. See what you can make. And I did a bird. I'm like a farmer that plants the cornfield and can't wait to see the sprouts and the corn come up and then harvest it. I'm sort of like that.
Every day is a chance to do something meaningful. At Quick Fill, it can start with a tank of gas or a cup of Bradley Street coffee. Free every day in November with a purchase of our Operation Give Thanks mug. Whether you're fueling up, purchasing a mug, or making a donation, you're part of something bigger. Through Operation Give Thanks, you can feel proud knowing you're helping make a difference in the lives of veterans and their families.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. You would think that the union would solidly support Sliwa. Do you know if they are? I don't think so, but I have not heard of any union endorsements of Sliwa. Comment from Rick. He says, Trump, oh, good morning, Frank, and good morning, Rick. Trump orders Pentagon to start testing nukes on an equal basis with Russia and China. That's great. Trump is and has been totally unhinged. Give a nut enough rope and he'll get us all blown up. But hey, I didn't vote for him. Is there someone out there we have to get prepped for because they want to control our way of life? That would be Trump. He's a loose wire. Too bad about Prince Andrew. Next, the privileged of the United States. Not a hoax. Epstein and Donald were best friends, but Donald never did anything wrong. Trump wants to shut down more Democratic programs that will bring both sides to want to work together. How about we cut the program that says Trump can live at the White House? Thank you, Rick. Ken writes in, if I was a betting man, I would wager that John Fetterman would either be aggressively primaried or run as an independent. A compassionate man has no place in the Democratic Party. Well, I know there's been a lot of pieces already suggesting that Democrats are going to primary Fetterman, that they're working behind the scenes to get him out of there. So you raise a good point. Thank you, Ken. And finally, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. With this New York City mayoral race, it screams for raising the voting age to 30 because the young voters have not experienced enough life to not fall for the lies of the left. Thank you very much. Now, the New York Post editorial board put the 20 reasons why to vote against Zohran Mamdani. 1, there's 20 things here. 1, he hates the police. He really hates the police is number 2. Number 3, he hates the police with a splash of anti-Semitism. His mental health plan is half-baked. He promises a bus boondoggle. He's never met a failed idea he didn't like. He wants to globalize the intifada. He'll cause an international incident. He sides with hate, but then claims to be the victim. He'll flood the streets with criminals. He'll put children at risk of trafficking. He'll make the housing crisis worse. He'll make schools worse. He'll drive us deeper into debt, and he'll drive away the golden goose. He'd put federal assistance at risk. He has no experience, and finally, he will treat New York as an experiment. He's sure to stock his cabinet with every Democratic socialist he can find, and they will treat Gotham as an Oberlin postgraduate study session. No business will go unpunished. No tax dollar will go unspent. Every radical idea from Marx to Noam Chomsky will get an airing. It doesn't matter that almost all of these theories have been debunked by history. It will cost us billions, and it will make the city a worse place to live and work. He is naive enough and radical enough that he wants to make the same mistakes all over again, and you're the one who will pay the price. Oh, speaking of New York State issues, a couple quick things. So Lion Electric school buses, because we've talked about the EV mandates, the schools are going to have to convert all their buses to electric buses. Their warranties were voided, leaving districts struck. Nobody ever says this is business before doing something nice, and the recently reborn Lion Electric Company is keeping that streak alive by doing the unthinkable to cut costs. They're going to void the warranties on hundreds of electric school buses. This past summer, the fallout from Lion Electric's dissolution reached a critical mass, and the company's new owner, the Quebec-based real estate giant Group Mac, decided to cancel the warranties on electric school buses sold in the U.S., leaving many districts with unsafe or broken down buses and no recourse to get their money back, while the brand continued to take orders and make money in Canada. Also, well, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I'm Marion Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
In a few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5.
Well, Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. On a positive note, Buffalo Bills are 6-2. Yes, played a good game. Thank you for that. All right. The Post asked the question that some Democrats in Albany may be starting to see the insanity of New York's climate action laws, but will enough agree to even delay the suicide pact? Governor Hochul says she wants to review all our options, including making changes to the state's disastrous 2019 Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which set budget-busting pie-in-the-sky mandates to slash greenhouse gas emissions. Plus, some Assembly Democrats who once denied Hochul was banning gas stoves now admit that's just what she's doing and demand she delay the ban. Yet it's going to be tough to convince the progressives who dominate the legislature to roll back the law, since global warming hysteria remains the rule on the left, especially among the donor class and other college-educated whites. Watch New Jersey, where voter fury over soaring electric costs may send Jack Ciattarelli to the governor's mansion. Even a close race there will open eyes in Albany. Rising utility bills and the threat of blackouts are already becoming major issues in New York, and Hochul plans to make affordability the centerpiece of her 2026 election campaign. She wants to override or ignore the clear letter of the law, even if she doesn't dare say so or call out these statutes stupidity. We plan to review all our options, including working with the legislature to modify the CLCPA in order to protect New Yorkers from higher costs. Under the law, New York must cut CO2 output by 40% by 2030 and 85% by 2050. On the other hand, the law ordered the rules to achieve those goals be enacted by January 1st, 2024. Yet there are nearly 2 years later, and they have yet to materialize. Yep, Hochul's ignoring the law. Meanwhile, Assemblyman William Conrad reports the state's no gas mandate, which kicks in at the end of this year, has already hiked construction costs, threatening affordable housing projects, and raising the specter of winter blackouts. Worse, the state climate action plan mandates closing natural gas power plants and replacing them with pricier, less reliable solar and offshore wind installations. Indeed, the New York Independent System Operators, which runs the electric grid, and even the New York Affordable Clean Power Alliance, a solar industry, warn that shifting to solar and wind poses dire threats to reliable power, particularly in the Hudson Valley, Long Island, and the Big Apple. How will Hochul prevent blackouts and keep costs down for New Yorkers when the power supply runs short? Especially as the NYSIO points out, with growing electric demands from cryptocurrency, data mining, and all the green mandates to shift the electric heat, cooking, and cars, the idea that New York can even build enough solar and wind power generation in time to meet those mandates was always fantasy, a charade to please climate activists. Yet it's what the law says the state must do. As the legal deadlines get closer or pass without the state doing what the law says it should, the truth grows ever more obvious. It's not just unrealistic to make net zero carbon emissions a top priority. It's also expensive, risky, and wrong-headed. How many court orders can the governor defy? Can she get the legislature to change the laws and get the courts off her back? Alas, polls like Hochul may only care about timing. The 2026 gas mandates kick in just as her re-election campaign begins. Don't bring this thing to a grinding halt, said Assemblyman John McDonald. Just slow down a little bit and put a temporary pause in there. Translation, wait until after we're safely reelected before shocking New Yorkers with higher bills and blackouts. Don't forget how Hochul delayed congestion pricing until after the 2024 elections. Yet reality won't change after the election. On that note, oh, look at all these last-minute waves coming in. Comment from a viewer, Mom Donnie needs to read some recent history. All his communist proposals have been tried and failed, many in New York City. So sad that people are falling for a grinning charlatan without enough experience or intelligence to learn from the mistakes of the past. The only bright spot is, if elected, he will be an albatross around the neck of Hochul. Thank you very much. Comment from Mark. He writes in, I've said electric buses were stupid before, but now no warranty. Wonder what Hochul thinks of that. Good point. Well, thank you to all of our guests this morning. James Kuhl, who's running for Steuben County Legislature in District 12, which encompasses Irwin. I want to thank Justin Eberlin, candidate for Steuben County Legislature in District 13, which is Caton, the town of Corning, and Hornby. So I thank them for being on the program. Tomorrow is the big day, Election Day, and we'll be talking about that on tomorrow's broadcast. And of course, Wednesday, you'll want to tune in for all of your election results. If there are any interviews of candidates that you missed, you can find them at our website, or you can go to our YouTube page and do your research, do your homework before you go to the booth tomorrow. Specifically, we had all three candidates running for Elmira City Court Judge. So you can find those again at WYDCTV.com or on our YouTube page. Have a great day, everyone, and we will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I look forward to it already. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, I'll be home in about 10 minutes. Make it 8.
Mom, stop. It's really fun, I promise. Mom, I don't know what's happening. I gotta go. Go back home. That's my good boy. Stay.
Do it all with Steel Battery. Get a free extra battery with the MSA 70 CB chainsaw set or BGA 60 blower set. Hurry into your local Steel dealer or shop online.